Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Office Hours special show. This one continuing our look at the transformation from kind of the old tech world into the new. Today, we are seriously excited to welcome a very special guest to the show. Bill Waters is the principal product manager at Audinate. And these products have just kind of swept through the industry, and they're deeply embedded in the world of broadcast infrastructure and video over IP network, as much as anyone you'll find. And we're clearly well along this transition from when I was starting out beaming video from the mountaintops, and now everything is video over IP and IT and into our homes, our pockets, and increasingly even onto our wrists. In the midst of all this, Bill has graciously agreed to come here to Office Hours Global and help us understand how Audinate's cutting-edge software, hardware, and service solutions, including the massively populated Dante branded products and protocols, which are now just ubiquitous across the industry, how they're all working together in kind of a unified workflow. So Bill, with after all that, welcome to Office Hours. Straight to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Audinate, and particularly Dante, seems to be everywhere these days. I was thinking back, I can't even remember if Audinate was on my mental radar 5 years ago when I started on this webcast. And now I can't go a day without somebody talking to me about these technologies. Can you give us a quick synopsis of where Audinate came from and maybe how it's evolved?
Well, yeah, I'll do my best. Audinate really has got a real rich history, and it's all about this concept of really being able to create flexible interfaces or ensuring interoperability. When we're doing any type of production or you're working with audio and video signals, you just want your content that is here to get over there and do it in the easiest way as possible. And fundamentally, I think Audinate's the original, the whole purpose in being from its founding was that it looked at really the audio world back in the early aughts and said, we have all of these different connectors. Everything is mostly analog in those days, but there was digital connectors and balanced, unbalanced, all of these different things going on. And it's just like this is a mess. On top of that, there were audio over IP, protocols that were starting to emerge in that particular time, and a lot of investment was happening, but it was really locked in, and it wasn't done in a way that is network. When even us talking here today, it's all over very content agnostic transfer, right? So Audinate's came to be is like, let's solve this problem of interoperability, but also making audio easy on the network. Well, that happened 2009. Worked with, I believe, some companies like Yamaha. I think Sennheiser was there in the early years. Anyway, it just started, it became a huge really a solved problem as far as interoperability goes. And today, I just show you, we have, there's more than 6 million devices out there that have Dante in them. That doesn't even include all the software. We work with over 600 manufacturers, original equipment manufacturers developing products. And the big thing, though, is that there's a lot of trained professionals, people that actually know how to move and work with Dante signals on networks, how to tune that network, all those networks that exist out there, over 500,000 of them. But the biggest thing is the users, right? The number of users that are actively working with Dante day in and day out, and really just making it a massive community. Of course, over the years, we've expanded that from just I/O connectivity into what we really call a platform. So, of course, we added video connections in the same way that you're able to do your routing, your management, the plug-and-play capabilities, along with now the ability to do device management. So, even for delivering telemetry information about what's going on with that AV signal, giving our OEM partners a pathway into utilizing control aspects, monitoring. So there's a whole lot. Again, once you're on the network, there's so many different things you can do. It really becomes a very flexible way of going about it.
I noticed on your
go forever.
ahead.
So no, I'll just say I can go forever. So I'll just say, like, what where should we dive in? What do you think?
Well, I was fascinated on your website. It notes that you guys shipped more than 1 million Dante units just back in 2023. So obviously there was this point where the floods started hitting. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like to be in the midst of this? Is
Yeah, yeah.
storm?
I think I can give you my take on it, and it's certainly one of those things that you have in any particular scenario. You have an evolution. You have early adopters, then you come into the main, the I guess the main type or part of the product lifecycle. In this case, the protocol lifecycle. But then there are external factors that always make changes. I'm sure some of those that are on the call and remember the days of. I'm just going to make a quick reference here to tape-based workflows and broadcasts and doing different things. And then there really is like we had a lot of different technologies and the idea of moving to file-based and maybe going into IP, but really it was a few different things like one or two fires and some difficulties manufacturing over in
Oh
Japan
yeah,
and
I
in
remember.
Asia
Yeah.
that suddenly made it so that no one could get that, which then really pushed the even though the technology had been there for a while, that really pushed the usage. And I think the same thing has really happened here over the last few years when we had a lockdown and ideas of like where to do work, how to do work, how to integrate. The really it exemplified and made it known really the power of the network from an audio video standpoint. And I think that that's one of the things that, of course, many companies did different things for that, but at Audinate, I think that's one of the things that we saw is just an absolute expansion
Yeah.
of signal types and being able to really take advantage of the network to get your signal from place to place.
Yeah, I remember back during when the pandemic hit. That's kind of how office hours got born originally, and it
Mm-hmm.
was one of those processes where everything shut down. We're all trying to figure out what's going on, and right at the same time, technologies like yours were out
Mm-hmm.
there and available, and just kind of swept through everything. It really was incredibly. I think those were challenging times, but man, the industry came together. And one of the things they came together on were these standards, like Dante as a protocol. Can you talk a little bit about why you think it was the right technology at the right time for those kind of
Yeah,
challenges?
well, yeah, I think too that, it's not just about signal flow. It's actually a fabric or something that goes all the way around it. And I'll just, give a quick graphic here. It's just like with Dante, it's more than what would be. I think everyone knows us usually from audio connectivity.
Sure.
Being able to get audio from place to place, or a lot of times you see it on the back of your sound, your console, or connecting to your intercom system, and that's fantastic. We love all that, but it actually the fabric itself, because we're on the network, we can do a whole lot more with the just the endpoints. We can create when I say the endpoints, the audio, the thing that's actually either producing or receiving the audio or the video. But there's a whole developer ecosystem that can go in with that. Things that you can do with those media signal types, and then of course be able to deliver out new workflows because of that. Then of course the control and management is really important on the AV side of things, but it's also important in the broadcast. The two industries kind of look at that a little bit differently. The interesting thing about Dante is that we actually straddle both sides very, very well. I would say very well, but we're used in a lot of those places. Of course, things should always be improved for individual workflows, but the control and management function is really cool, really key. But once you have media signals running everywhere, you also in today's world you also have to think about security, and that's one of the things that we really focus on with Dante. Well, there is this concept, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. Like, well, we should all have open standards and be able to work through together. And look, I'm with that too. I've actually spent a lot of personal time working with the various standards bodies to help forward a lot of those conversations. But there's also the point of someone at some point needs to have some ownership of certain things, and especially around the security conversation. If you leave that up to every single vendor to kind of interpret that in their ways. Well, as the user, as the end user, sometimes you are basically left with the full responsibility, right, of making sure that everybody's playing nicely and making sure that you have the proper things put together. So one of the things I think Dante brings to the industry is not just I/O, but also an ecosystem that allows for developer expansion, along with ensuring that we are really at the forefront as best we can of modern practices in both IT and the secure spaces.
That really resonates with me. I see so many of, for example, the little Audinate boxes that take a regular signal and put it into the digital world. But you're bringing up the idea of security, and your stuff attaches to so many brands through so many
Mhm.
manufacturers and lets them talk to each other. I can see why security would be kind of top of mind for you.
Well, yeah, and again, because we're straddling both the pro AV world as well as in the broadcast world, in some cases, like for instance, when you're running media signals in a boardroom of a major financial institution, like
Yeah.
there is no, talking about mission critical. Yes, it's important for everybody is mission critical to us, like all of our users, and the protocol has to be solid. The interoperability has to be ensured, regardless of the manufacturer. And then, of course, if you're choosing to go into both the secure aspects, we really help our partners make sure that at least those media signals or that network port that we are operating on is up to standards. And then, of course, recently announced media confidentiality even. So we're actually trying to do a forward look to potentially interpreting upcoming regulations. Some of the stuff coming out of the EU. Here's just a great question: is a voice transmission considered personal data? Today,
Ah,
we don't know, but there
yeah.
is at least some interpreters of that saying that that might come under some regulations in the future. So, like, I'm not suggesting we have an answer for that immediately, but those are the things that we do try to spend at least some time and work with the appropriate bodies to really help to drive the industry forward.
Well, sure. If you're in a world where loose lips can literally tank a stock price or something like that, that security protocol means a lot to a lot of
Indeed,
people. This, yeah,
indeed.
moves things hugely. You're also, I would imagine, right at the interface of all this REMI stuff, the remote media integration. We're seeing so much happening in the world of the kind of thing that we've been doing now for 4 or 5 years, which is people touching the shows from literally all over the world in real time and making them operate not in the old central switching station world, but literally in a distributed switching kind of world. Can you talk a little bit about how your stuff works in there?
Well, absolutely. We have, as I mentioned, we have some software endpoints that we deliver, but we actually have a suite of products we call Dante Connect that allows for the Dante network to expand into cloud environments. And we have quite a few. Let me see if I have a graphic for this, as I'm not good at talking and searching for things at the same time. But what Dante Connect allows for is really those signals or that kit that you would have either in your truck, in your studio, in your facility to be able to connect directly into cloud-based productions that many times are involved with REMI based productions type stuff. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily always point to point. That's there's a lot of ways that you can deliver that. But what we were definitely looking at, and we were hearing from both our partners as well as end users, is that if you have your mixing console, for instance, that's running in an AWS instance, but you have your studio announcer or your sports announcer console or box and your intercoms, how do you interface all of that? And it's all really on the network already with Dante. So we do have the ability to really expand on that and then deliver that. And that actually creates new and interesting workflows, right? Because then, because you have the ability of cloud compute, we've had various things where new companies have come in to look to take those audio signals and do some different things with. We recently had a press release with AI Media, for instance, who is very big in working with closed captioning as well as live translation services. So if they take the Dante signals directly in, because that was either running we were pushing through Dante Connect to the cloud. They can then return back closed captioning very quickly and easy, or even live translation as a new audio channel that can be then mixed into the production for delivery. So,
I know there's a lot of different kind of aspects of the Dante product world. I've
mhm.
seen VO controllers, studio director, and things like that. Can you talk us a little bit through your ecosystem of where these products kind of fit for people?
Oh, we have a few things. Again, the biggest, I guess, footprint of Dante are in the what would really be the chips that many of our partners put into their products. And there are different capabilities, usually surrounding how many channels that you're looking to push, and then some of the other features like connecting with AES67 streams, or what we call really RTP flows, as well as some of these things I was talking about with media confidentiality. On the software side, we do have some end user software, such as Dante Virtual Sound Card, that really acts like an actual physical device that is just in your computer on Mac or Windows, and allows for you to send and receive those signals. And I'm just grabbing something here as a show and tell if I can get it up in the camera. But we also have little devices like this that we call Avios, AVIOs, and they come in various flavors, various formats, but they're PoE devices that just allow you to connect to either analog, two channels of analog audio, AS, EBU on the digital side, as well as even install options now, so that you can just install these with Phoenix connectors. So that's one of the things we deliver, plus the video endpoints. We have a lot of video now that manufacturers are working with, whether they're PTZ cameras, they're encoders, decoders, as well as, again, software endpoints and something we call Dante Studio. That's all like the media signals. But then I think this is really important. It's Dante's ability to have some what we consider control and management functions. And that, here, I'll just do a quick show here, is fundamentally anybody who's working or looking with Dante certainly knows Dante Controller, which gives us the ability to really send and receive signals or see that. This is a free tool that is available from Audinate, but any Dante device and everything will show up in different component, or show up as their sender, their receiver, and they have the ability to patch, look at that device info, see what product versions there are, even be able to push updates from that central area, see what's happening on the network with the status. And Dante also provides clocking mechanisms, and all of that is plug and play. You don't have to go and configure that for most networks. Depending on size and scale, or if you're working with other things, then that's why we have training programs. So we're delivering a lot to the market for that. A whole other layer that we call Dante Director and Dante Domain Manager, giving the ability to orchestrate across multiple networks. Again, monitoring, control APIs. There's a lot to talk about, Bill.
I know there is. It's a big story because you've been doing this a long time very successfully. A couple of things you mentioned, we were talking before the show, and you mentioned IBC and the fact that 2110 is now a big topic that everybody's chatting about. You want to give us some idea about what's happening there?
Yes. Let me look at my graphic on that one. We had a great show over in Amsterdam, and the situation is that we have been listening to customers and doing some different things. Now, we've been working with AS67 flows for quite some time, and we had some real responses back from the industry, like, hey, we love our Dante gear, but our core infrastructure is running on SMPTE 2110, and we need the ability to work with dash 30 streams. So what we have decided, or what we announced at IBC, was that we're bringing the ability to operate with dash 30 or 2110-30 RTP flows without requiring heavy management or our other management tools. So if we have it in the chip and it supports it, this will show up in Dante Controller, giving you the ability to be able to set up various things from your clocking and your if you see right here, this is something that says AS67 or 2110, that you could actually interface directly with those signals without, again, having huge management. We also have the ability to set up really the PTP V1 or V2 concerns, but that's been a big request to go along with this. So we can operate very friendly into these modern 2110 based infrastructures without requiring conflicts, as well as being able to deliver information about our product, being able to pull in SDP files it's a much smoother experience. Being able to create multicast flows, we're really excited about it. It was a big hit while we were at the show, and of course, it's going to take just a little bit for while we deliver that for our partners to actually get that into their products. But we're super excited to see where that goes.
It almost sounds to me like a little bit of configuration intelligence is going on in the back end. Am I reading that wrong, or is that kind of the pathway that you see?
Well, that's one of the things Dante just brings. I mean, that's inherent to Dante is to really ensure that there's flexibility of the network is actually something that can be useful to a user. So
You're
really,
saying
not,
sometimes configuration is the
oh
big block in this
yeah, I
for the
think that
whole
this is
internet.
yeah, this is one of their challenges that we have, right? Because people like they see Dante and they tend to think, okay, audio IO. But really, Dante is so much more than a protocol. It's an ecosystem, it's a clocking mechanism, it's a plug and play discovery and registration on a network, it's a control and orchestration mechanism. There's so much that's all wrapped up into that a lot of times it's just, well, because it just works well, what else is there to talk about really? So we tend to not think about the floor we're walking on, but if it's not there or if it's all broken up, then it becomes a topic of conversation.
Absolutely. We've got one of our questions coming in from the folks who are watching the show. Douglas Carmichael mentioned this. What was your experience been with hardware-based Dante interfaces on Mac OS? I've seen the UAD Apollo X16D and the RME Digiface Dante be popular in both studio and live settings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not going to go so far as to talk about specific products because I think that
Okay.
would not service anybody. But I will say that okay, let me give a little bit of background. You are talking to the product manager for the software interfaces, and I spend most of my day in software. However, I also know the value of having that chip and that dedicated hardware device out there. So specifically on the Mac side, I think this is one of those things that are very, very interesting. If you need high channel count, if you need high sample rate, having a hardware interface is incredibly useful, especially because there are certain things that are just inherent to the standard OS. And this is coming from the person who manages Dante Virtual Sound Card, right? It's a great product. I love it, but also it works with other things that could impact that performance because it's shared resource. So things like devices like what RME is able to deliver through their interface. Uh, I should say that the hardware is very useful and strongly encouraged. And I know that we have a lot of customers that are very happy with those choices.
Jeff Keithley has another question coming in. What's new in Dante Video? This is something I haven't heard a lot about. Can you kind of give us an overview?
Yeah, Dante Video. That's something that we've actually had for a number of years. And Dante Video, it's a little okay. Let me say it this way: Dante, when there's a lot of ways to move video around, right? But when it comes to video endpoints, it's not necessarily just about making connections. It's also about delivering value. So we have actually what we call three different flavors of uh, let's see, why is this not showing? Probably because I have that deck up. Let me just switch over here to the right graphic. There we go.
I
So,
think I see it. Will, we're in
yep.
good shape.
So, this is actually an old slide. I think we're up over 80 manufacturers now. What Dante Video allows for is that there's actually three different flavors. One we call Dante AV Ultra that delivers a really high quality up to 4K P60 video at 444, 12-bit video that is really high performance and low latency. Now, what that really excels at are things like desktop graphics. So think of being able to take spreadsheets and put them onto projection. Or, I know that sounds like amazing, right? But or you have content that you want to be able to deliver into a presentation format, or in the broadcasting space, you need really low latency transmission to your studio wall monitors, or things that would be happening in inside the studio. So AV Ultra gives some opportunity for that because it's incredibly low latency. In the hardware specification, and this is on the Dante side, we're talking about 16 lines. So incredibly fast to be able to operate that and still operate under a gig. So that's a really important component there. Then, of course, we have what we call Dante AVA that's used a lot in the hospitality sector. So in that mode, think more like hospitals. Think more like hotels and hospitality spaces where you're going to have a lot of distribution. You see a lot of set-top boxes that sit behind monitors, different things like that. That really allows for that low latency, high quality for that, but also giving the ability to do your orchestration and your management in the Dante ecosystem. Of course, marrying that up with Dante Audio is a real attractor there. And then we have something we call AVH, which this is for those that are more budget conscious, but also is really handy in things like PTZ cameras that are already delivering like some type of flow, H.264, H.265, but being able to bring that up and see that again in Dante controller and be able to operate that in the appropriate patching that gives some capabilities there. But we have another big announcement that happened just a couple months ago is that Audinate made an acquisition with a company called Iris AI. And if anyone hasn't seen that, I encourage them to just check it out. It's like tryiris.ai. Now, there's acquisition. They're part of the family now, but they have their own product, and they're really coming to be able to solve a lot of the frustrations and the challenges for doing remote camera operation and remote broadcast, remote production. So fantastic tool set that allows you to really take just about any PTC camera that's out there, be able to deliver what would be a universal control aspect for production, adding some AI elements if you want, as well as really being able to do some management functions of those cameras. So super excited about that. I can't really say any more about what tighter integrations may come, but I can promise you there will be. So we're really excited about what video is in the Dante world.
Well, you've been in this business for a long time, and I want you to put on your futurist hat, not NDA kind of stuff, but just give us an idea from your perspective, looking at all the changes that have just happened recently. Are there areas that you're projecting, that you're keeping your eye on, about changes that may affect all of us as this continues to evolve so fast?
Absolutely. If I was looking out the future, we see more software endpoints for one. Like there's this concept in Silicon Valley that they say software eats the world. Well, there's truth there. AV and broadcasts have interestingly been resistant to that for a long time, but I think that there was an accelerator through the pandemic. There's this concept of moving to the cloud. Okay, where it goes to the cloud or whether using that on prem, it can be software running in the server in the next room. Fundamentally, that gives flexibility, which is really what people are looking for. So that's definitely a continuing trend. I know a lot of people talk about AI. Hey, large language models can do some interesting things when you know about signals. And again, if metadata is attached to those signals, there's a whole lot of things that you can develop new workflows about. When a source device, a transmitting device, knows how it might be is being utilized downstream, it can make decisions. You can make the endpoints smarter. This is all done through software, whether it's sitting on the box, on the device, or whether it's sitting somewhere within the network. What it really delivers is an opportunity for signals to be where they need to be so that people can move their content or tell their story in the way that they really envision it. So I'm really excited about all of that. I think that we are really still in the early days of what the network provides for our industry. And there is so many things that it could take us in so many different ways.
I had you put your futurist hat on. I'm going to have you take that one off and put on the time travel backwards hat. If you were starting out again, you're looking at where is the world going and what can I pay attention to? What can I afford to play with so that I'm well set up for my future? Anything on your radar for those kind of things?
Well, I would say that the most important thing is to always be curious, right? Be willing
Amen.
to try something new or try something different. I've had the fortune in my career to really ride from what would be, I guess, digital signals of the '90s through the transition into the digital internet age. We were digital back then, but the thing that fundamentally shifted was the concept of the workflow, and the IP was the thing that really brought that together. So, something that I noticed a long time ago in terms of broadcasts. Broadcast is interesting from a tech standpoint because it's one of the few industries that predates computers and the personal computer and this whole ITification of everything. Like we were doing radio in what the 20s and 30s, and then TV shortly after that. So a lot of the things about broadcast, really still work because of decisions made back then. But one thing I do know about production and broadcast is that we know how to tell stories. We know how to communicate. And so while the technology or how things move on the wire may change, telling the story is actually still really important. How we deliver that message, that narrative, being able to get that from place to place. I think that's something that's still worthwhile to know and to understand.
Am I going to have some kind of Dante dongle on my phone at some point? Is that where this is going?
I cannot speak to future development. So
There you go. I should have known that. We have another question here waiting in the queue. Douglas Carmichael's back with this one. Will existing Dante devices like Allen Heath's SQ series Dante card, Allen Heath's QU 5, 6, and 70, and the Yamaha DM3D support the ST2110 mode?
okay. Again, I'm not specifically, I don't have in my head every one of our partner devices. What I will say is that what we have announced to the market is that the devices that are using our Brooklyn 3 chip will be the first to be able to utilize and interact with the 2110-30 streams and flows. Then we will be bringing that capability to the devices that are on our what we call our IP core. So, not to get too much in the weeds on that, but that's our roadmap. There's beyond that, it gets a bit more where the demand is and all that. So, I would encourage you to ask I'm sorry, it was Allen Heath, and then there was another one that was referenced. I would encourage you to really talk to your representative, those companies, or if it's possible, if they do deliver the information in their spec sheet about which Dante chipset they're working with, that would give you that specific information.
Another question coming in, this one from Ed Willick in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Ed wonders, can you talk about the USB-C Ethernet dongles that work best for Dante, especially for use with Mac computers?
Oh, this is a question that comes up often. Now, here is, hold on, let me get the correct thing here. So, USB dongles are strange beasts. Because what matters is the chipset that you have within. I should have predicted a question like this. Thank you, Ed. But this is again where I can't type and talk at the same time. But we actually have an FAQ about the particular chipset that is going to work best. So here's one thing, rule of thumb. If it includes, if the dongle includes an HDMI connector, but USB connectors and everything, that is fundamentally going to create a round robin effect with connecting to the machine or to the computer, because there's a lot of overhead and management that has to operate with all the multiple signal types. So you want a dedicated device, and then you also want one that utilizes what would be network. Again, I need to pull up the exact terminology here, but let me
Go ahead.
find
Don't,
the
listen, we've got time.
yeah, that's the important thing. And I believe the real tech, I want to say it's the 8288, but I need to find the FAQ, and I will deliver that to you once I see that here. But that's a great question, and your performance there has massive difference depending on which one you have. Usually, if it's like a 2.5 gig interface now with USB-C, it definitely has these new chipsets in it. But Yeah, I can definitely say that if it has anything besides that network connector, you probably are going to get spotty results.
Let me do my little pitch here. Then don't forget, we've had a series of questions come in. The Mokana chat is open, so you have time to get questions in if you'd like to do that. Most of you who are office hours regulars know this process, and thank you very much. Our whole infrastructure and build out here at office hours is designed to make sure that it's a two-way conversation. We're just not delivering information to you. We want you to be able to ask questions into this system and get the answers to questions that are most important to you. So thank you for being part of the office hours community and doing that all the time. Shall I go
Thank
on to
you,
the next
Bill.
question? Yeah.
No, let me just say that on that follow up. Thank you for the time to find that. It's USB CDC-NCM. That stands for Network Control Module. It's a newer, more advanced standard. Specifically, the Realtek 8153 chip. That's the one you don't want. Sorry, it's the where is this? 81. Yeah, 2.5 gig. Let me tell you this. We have an FAQ. If you go on to the getdante.com support site and you look up USB Ethernet adapter choice, you will find an FAQ that dives into this information and gives you very specific info, even telling you how to check in the driver that happens to be used by your adapter.
It's making me grin because so many times you ask, does this work or doesn't? And they go, which version do you have? Do you have the one
Yeah.
from last Thursday or the one from 3 weeks ago last
Yeah.
Thursday? The landscape of everything that we're talking about here changes so quickly as it improves and makes our lives easier that sometimes it's hard to do that. We got another question in from Douglas Carmichael, and this time Douglas asks, will there be a perpetual license option for DVS Pro? I could see it being advantageous for smaller users and institutional buyers.
You know, this is one of the things that we are always interested in feedback from our customers. One of the reasons why DVS Pro is in a what we call a recurring or subscription model is that it comes into that concept I was talking about earlier as far as security. In today's world, as we push forward and we continue to update, we have development costs and even regulatory costs that we have to consider. So perpetual, while perpetual, at least in the Dante world, we'll have to, create some type of version and do all that. Now, that said, I know there are some workflows that, that would be useful for, especially air gap networks or situations where might be looking at other security or secure aspects, government, defense, manufacturing. And we are currently looking at that particular segment of the market. So I can't make any further statements than that. But we are in a different world that we have to think about with those security updates. And if we're going to make that a feature, then there has to be some way to keep those developers being able to work on it on a constant basis.
Going back for another question from Ed Willick in Grand Rapids, with some new AV over IP protocols coming to the market that are using the NMOS for discovery, is that something you see Dante moving towards in the future, or can you talk about anything?
I can't talk about too much. I can say we're very much aware of what's happening in NMOS or that particular world for orchestration. But I will say this, because I've talked to a lot of vendors as well as broadcasters about this. NMOS is very interesting to broadcasters, but also this is where the broadcast world and the AV world have a bit of a separation as far as what they're looking for. Broadcasters tend to want open standards because they don't want vendor lock-in. Completely understand that. That's absolutely understandable. The Pro AV world wants consistency, and basically they want to just buy the thing and not have to think about it anymore. So you get into this kind of tension between what something like NMOS would be able to deliver. I think NMOS is fantastic in its concept and its idea. Where the reality comes in, though, is that each vendor that is adopting NMOS, while there is a set of standards and there's even there's the example code like on GitHub, that implementation actually is still up to the individual vendors to ensure interoperability. So it's really where that cost sits. Does the end user, like in the broadcast space, push that and make sure that the vendor takes that on, or is it more like in the pro AV space where you say, I don't want that extra cost or that headache. Like I'll just basically buy the insurance to have that be interoperable. Dante is sitting in that tension in the middle. So we are very much actively looking at that and always interested in feedback, but I can't give a definite of what we will do there for those reasons I just laid out.
I'm a little bit curious about a lot of people have been talking to me the last few days, and maybe it's on my mind because I have another thing where I've got a lot of people who I'm trying to train up on a particular set of protocols and things like that. And everybody's been talking about using these large language models and going and getting
Mhm.
information about connection and the rest of this. Have you played with that in terms of solving networking problems that Dante equipment might be involved with? And what's been your general experience for people getting troubleshooting help through these services?
Yeah, well, large language models are very interesting for that. I have used them quite heavily on a personal level, and it's been fantastic to watch the evolution, especially in such a short amount of time. At Audinate, we actually have a lot of documentation that exists out there, and utilizing the LLMs, you can quickly and easily find some things that may have been a bit hard to find by doing standard Google searches. So from that aspect, it's fantastic. Where it gets a little strange, though, is that LLMs do, at least as of today, have the tendency to hallucinate. And we've actually tried a few different things within Audinate, just to like, hey, maybe we should try to use one of the LLMs to do the vibe coding and see if we can stand up some interesting thing. When what I found
Fascinating.
very interesting was that it did a reasonable job of helping us getting basically an application stood up with some Dante signals. But then when we started to run into some issues, it started reporting that there was products and it a bit hallucinated a few different let's call them kits or toolkits that frankly just don't exist.
It was
So you
making up
have to
products
be
for your
careful.
company that don't exist. I love that.
Yes, yes. It's the one of the things about the LLMs is that they're certainly sure of the answer they're giving until you tell it actually that's not accurate. So I am really excited about what this could bring. I think that it actually does. I We have used it to try to get different things to look at what may be happening on networks to and it can definitely get you thinking in a certain way, but I'm not sure that at least as of today, it's ready to actually take on the EIC or the network administrator job directly.
So maybe it's LLM caveat emptor. You have to be a little
Yeah.
beware of where you're going. Douglas Carmichael has another question in the queue. How does DVS Pro licensing handle touring situations where the system isn't always connected to the internet? Have you run across that before?
We have run across that, and DVS Pro, as of today, it requires a check-in every 30 days. So for touring scenarios that can accommodate that, we do have some customers that have already embarked out and are utilizing that fashion. Again, for the DVS Pro side, we are always interested in that feedback. I can't promise anything beyond that, but as of today, it doesn't require that check-in every 30 days.
Hey, your products are across the whole world. I'm going to ask you a weird question. It's just popped into my mind. Have you gotten any calls for assistance or that it just were really weird? It's like, wow, they're using our stuff in that? I'm shocked.
I That would be a question that's probably best for our support team,
Oh, the
as
field
well
techs and
as
things.
the
Yeah.
field techs and all that. But I do know because I get sometimes things escalated to me that are just like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Whether it's in use in robotics or utilizing
Hmm.
some attempts uh, at what would be expanding medicine, in either the telepresence or remote medicine in that zone. In the broadcast and the production space, we again the remote while remote Remy has been around for quite some time, it's always fascinating when someone thinks of something new that they could add on or yet another value add that can be brought on the same signal types. And also, I mentioned earlier AI media. I think that they're doing some very interesting things to be able to take audio samples and turn that into metadata or text to be able to generate uh, other aspects of the workflow. Uh, One of the last things I'll say is that we were, and this is public, you can actually go and read a case study on this on the SVG line. But one of the things that we did with the NHL on some of their productions last year, where basically we were one of many vendors in what they were looking at expanding into utilizing cloud productions, but having the Dante signals on the audio side being able to connect again from announcers that were not even in the arena to being able to work with the intercom in between New Jersey and then Washington D.C. It's just basically the entire control room was I think stood up on two 8 foot folding tables, which I didn't love that from a like just aesthetic standpoint, but the
Right.
fact that it was happening and working and absolutely at the top level was like, okay, like I can definitely see we're not too far from just having the device or your fader panel at your desk and being able to do your full mixing. The other thing we've had is spatial audio, being able to have remote spatial audio mixes. That's cool. Because those rigs can be pretty cumbersome to move around.
As an announcer, do you think I'll end up announcing from tailgates? Just
I
test.
I'm surprised you're not already doing that. So the
It has
technology
changed
exists.
so. When I started in this business, it was you had to be free at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because an
Mhm.
agency booked you, and you had to be able to. You couldn't really have a full time job. You had to be one of those few people in every market who could go in, surround yourself with a bunch of producers from the agency, and stand there and deliver over the course of an hour for a recording session. Boy, has everything changed.
Mhm.
I think for in a lot of ways for the better. Although you can imagine we're a little wary of too much AI intervention in this. It's getting
Oh,
so good that
of course. I think that like any new technology, we have yet to know where everything will land out. So, I encourage everyone not to get too caught up in the hype, but it's definitely some interesting stuff at the moment.
generally when a big transformative technology like this comes through, you imagine it's going to change everything, and the reality is it changes a lot. Sometimes they're
Mhm.
fundamental changes, but a lot of things that are done a certain way persist being done that way for quite a while, just because it takes
Mhm.
time for culture to catch up with tech. We get another question in here from Ed Willick in Grand Rapids. With Netgear AV, Luminex, and now Ubiquity offering Dante Pro Tiles in their switches, which ones are you seeing the best results from internal testing and user feedback?
Oh, that could be a kind of bit controversial. What I would say is this is that we work we do our darndest to make sure that Dante operates in as many different switching environments as possible. I do, and I am excited that Netgear and Ubiquity and Legrand have taken like basically to be able to take even more of a step into creating profiles that allow for some configuration choices to make it as simple and easy for the end users as possible. Uh, I personally have probably interacted with the Netgear switches because I tend to see them on when I go traveling, and we tend to just stumble upon each other on the road shows. But I know Legrand is a great partner and has done a lot of interesting work, both in terms of their switches as well as in the endpoint side. And I have to say, I actually use Unify here at home. So I was really excited when they added their profile, and I have to say my network was already working as intended, but it was just nice to see the Dante logo, and I could flip that over to my Pro 24 and have that there. So I don't know if that's helpful as far as the answer, Ed, But I know that we work really hard to try to work with all the switch manufacturers to so that they know what Dante is and can pass that as seamlessly and as robustly to the customers as possible.
Last question I think I see up on my board here from Douglas Carmichael. What products could be used for Dante over distance? I could see it being useful for the Belfast method remote production. Are you familiar enough with the show to understand what that is?
I'm not so familiar with the show, but I am familiar with Dante over distance.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, basically, we connected early in the early days of the show, and we did a lot of remote production linked between our central servers and a theater in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and we were
mhm.
doing a lot of shared weekend content and things like that. So it was really it was two pod remote productions where they're switching and taking care of the show production in one place, and then the central hub and distribution happen inside the office hours system. So that's kind of what we refer to as the Belfast
Mhm.
method.
Yeah, well, I can say that with Dante, we do have something internally we call Dante over distance, and it involves our Dante domain manager. So for doing what would be layer three or cross subnet sharing and orchestration, we do need the management tools that exist in Dante domain manager specifically to make sure that the clock boundaries can know and understand each other as well as allowing for the devices uh, to be able to make that cross. So then it all comes down to what is the actual connection between the 2 points. So Dante, at least as of today, does it's on the audio side is passing PCM audio and it expects a robust network connection. So there is no concept of forward error correction or retransmission of packet loss or anything. So your network connection has to be really stable, which is possible. We actually have a lot of customers utilizing that particular method to move what we call Dante over distance in that function. That said, if this is of interest, I am actually very much personally interested in hearing about use cases and the interest in this particular space. And I would welcome any contact or any discussions on what people would like to see or would like to do if they're interested in Dante networks being connected through some other mechanism. I don't know if we have, or at the end of the show, if we give out contact info, but I'm
It's
certainly
absolutely
welcome to
possible. Do
look at it.
you want to list some sort of contact, or just let
Yeah, well,
everybody
I
know
mean, you
how they
can
can reach you?
you can actually email me directly at will.waters@audinate.com on that particular subject. Again, we're very much interested to know what people are looking for, what we think. We have that solution, but of course, that again, because that bandwidth requirement is so heavy, or it doesn't actually hit make sense for every person. So um, that's uh, that's that's probably the best avenue there. Then, of course, if you don't remember that, there always uh, we have a way to on getdante.com. You have a feedback page through our support stream that will actually hit to me as well. If you either mention this live stream or mention my name, they'll make sure that that hits my desk as well.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today. I always like to give our guests the kind of the last word and everything. Is there anything that you haven't touched on that you think is important, or just a last message that you'd leave our audience with here at the end?
Well, there was one other announcement that we didn't really talk about too much,
Great,
and I do
great. Dive
think
in.
that yeah, let me hit that real quick, and that is
Sure.
that for our uh production or our viewers that are into production, we did a new announcement with Grass Valley with Dante and integrated into AMP. So that will be coming here pretty soon, where it gives you the ability to actually work with Dante sources directly within the AMP environment through software controls, as being able to allow for the flexibility that the AMP environment provides for being able to do all of that there. So you'll see that Dante is new. Of course, all kinds of signal flow, comes into that environment together. But if anyone is out there looking or seeing or working with that, that's really exciting that we did have at IBC. So I want to make sure that people were aware of that.
It sounds like one of the things that Audinate is really interested in is continuing to expand the capabilities, and as new technologies get rolled out, work with them. Is that kind of the bottom line of all this?
It really is. Again, Dante is a platform. It's an ecosystem. It's a orchestration and management. It's discovery and registration, and then it of course is media signals. So media signals everywhere. Doing that in a interoperable and secure fashion. That's Dante.
We've been talking with Will Waters. Somebody misspelled your name, and I apologize for that up in the end. This is Will Waters, the principal product manager at Audinate. And Will, it's been fabulous talking to you today. I learned a ton, and I'm sure our audience has as well. Thank you for spending this time with all of us at Office Hours. And we in the future will continue to bring you these leading luminaries in the industry and try to pick their brain a little bit for useful information that can help you manage your career and the rest of this. Uh, there will be credits at the end of the show, as are all for all shows, and I would just encourage you to stick around, pay attention to some of them. This is the unseen army behind every show we do at Office Hours, volunteers, one and all, who really put a lot of time and attention into making these things happen. And it's never the people you see on the front of things, and it's never just those whose names are even in the credits. It's this small army that we marshal every single day on Office Hours to try to bring you the most up-to-date, current, and useful information we can. So the last thing I get to do is say thank you to all of you for watching the show, and we'll be back with another one of these as soon as circumstances allow. For us, everyone involved in this, that's it for this. Thanks for watching.